As I promised you, here he is, the former Calgary Flame himself, Jamie Noodles McLennan. Great to speak to Jamie for a second straight night. We're lucky. And the Calgary Flames, Jamie, they come back from a 2-goal deficit to win back-to-back games for the first time this season. They're finally scoring goals. Have they finally figured out this offense?
Well, you hope that they've turned the corner, and it didn't start easy for them on home ice. You're chasing the game at 2-0. You're out shooting the opponent. And it almost seemed that formula that wasn't going to work earlier in the season was still there because they couldn't find the back of the net, but they stuck with their game plan. Their top players, you look at a guy like Nazem Kadri, Lindholm, had really good nights. Their depth guys got it done, especially in the third period. I like their D jumping up into the play. And when you play a full 60 minutes, sometimes you don't get rewarded early on. You have to chip away, and they certainly chipped away at the Nashville Predators as the game wore on. And at UC Saros, who's a top-tier goaltender, Blake Coleman ends up beating him short side on a 2-on-1. Nazem Kadri ices it with the empty netter. So you take a look at the full 60 minutes, Ryan Huska has to be happy with his group, the way they battled and stuck with the game plan and got 2 huge points on home ice.
Probably the thing that everyone will be talking about the most, though, is the fact that Jonathan Huberdeau didn't play a single shift in the third period. We heard Dylan Dubé talk about it, saying it's not a big deal. Let's hear what the head coach, Ryan Huska, had to say.
I thought Hubie had an off night, and when we went into the third period, we wanted to try to get a little bit more flow, and we went with the guys we felt were going. And that's pretty much all it came down to.
How did he take that?
He's fine. It's not anything anybody wants to go through ever, but hey, at times it's going to happen. You're not going to have your A+ game every night. And as I said, we are trying to find a little bit of a rhythm and flow to our game. And when at that point, we went with the guys we thought were going the best.
Was it an effort thing at all, or was it just?
No, it's just yes, off night. It happens.
Okay, so off night, Jamie, and and you heard what Dubé said. Everyone's trying to downplay the situation. Bottom line, though, he's the highest paid player on the team, and he's not performing. You send him a message. Do you think this is the right way to go about it?
It is, because I come back to Ryan Huska. This is the word accountability, and that sends a ripple effect right through the dressing room. You just mentioned Jonathan Huberdeau a couple years ago at 115 points. He's the highest paid player on that team. So sometimes there's a special set of rules for top-tier players. He wasn't getting it done on this particular night, so Ryan Huska makes a statement to his team and to Jonathan Huberdeau and says, that's not good enough. And the word accountability comes back where he says to the rest of the guys, go out and earn this win. And as a head coach in the National Hockey League, where guys make so much money, they have one weapon. They can take away ice time. And that's what they did with Jonathan Huberdeau. Now, it sometimes has a negative effect, but in this particular situation, they won. And it also says to the rest of the dressing room, if you can bench your highest paid player, then nobody is safe from that. Everybody has to pull on the rope. So I love the move here by Ryan Huska. It's all about accountability, and they'll go back to work tomorrow morning, and they've won 2 games in a row, and it's a terrific move by the head coach.
Okay, and then as far as Huberdeau is concerned, just quickly, I want to ask you, you play with so many players, so many veterans. Generally, do you think he's going to respond well to something like this? Because obviously he wasn't too thrilled about it on the bench.
Absolutely. He's got a ton of pride. He knows exactly what he's going to has to do to get his game back in order. He's probably going to sit with the video coach and go over some of the things that he can do a lot better. But these players, these top-tier players, they know if they have an off night, they need to respond in the next game. And I guarantee you Ryan Huska will give him an opportunity to respond.
Jamie, speaking of top-tier players, I feel like we sometimes don't talk about Mark Scheifele enough. This kid has just been incredible to start the season. First of all, the Jets have a point in 7 of their last 8 games. But Scheifele has been so impressive to start the season. His 86th career multi-point game on Tuesday night against St. Louis. How impressive has he been to you?
He's been unbelievable, and he only had 2 assists in his last 5 games, and he had 9 shots on goal, and he's a guy that wants to contribute night in and night out, where he was absolutely dominant in this game against the St. Louis Blues. And that's what you need, is your top-tier players I just mentioned to contribute, especially on a long road trip. On the road, sometimes it's easy that last game to maybe pack it in and just kind of mail it in. Well, it was the exact opposite. Scheifele with 3 points now is on pace for a point a game this season. He's been leading the charge, and you have to lead by example. And he certainly did that on this particular night. So I love what he brings to the table because he can be the pulse of the team, and he certainly did that tonight. But Scheifele's a guy who's impactful, and especially when they needed it, he delivered.
Love that top line for the Jets. As for Montreal, they dropped their 4th straight game. You know, Jamie, and I know you noticed this, start of the season, Montreal had a nice little start, and the goaltenders were largely responsible for that 3-headed monster.
Yeah.
Then on Tuesday night, it goes the opposite way. You know, Jake Allen just has an off night, 4 goals on 9 shots. He gets pulled. Was that the clear difference in this one against Tampa?
Well, and Tampa, what they did the night before, they were very frustrated because they let a point slip away against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So you knew they were going to hit the ground running. They're a veteran team. Probably had a conversation the morning skate. So Montreal was in one. But if I look at the big picture, Montreal's had a fantastic start to the season. The fan base has to be happy with what they've been doing night in and night out. But it was not a great start for Jake Allen because he was under fire early on. That's an absolute bomb underneath the bar from Kucherov. Rebound on the back door from Nick Paul. No chance on this play. And then a little redirect off the skate underneath the right pad. I didn't love the 4th goal, and that's what ended Jake Allen's night. Esamont down the wall, little short side off the back, and now it's Samuel Montembeault that comes in. But you knew that Tampa was going to have a response where they gave a point away the night before. And Jake Allen, who's a fantastic goaltender, just had an off night. But overall, I'm real happy with the body of work for the Montreal Canadiens, and including Jake Allen. He's a guy who can bring it every night, but just didn't have it on this particular one.
Hey, you know what? Maybe Montreal will bounce back in their next game. They'll face the Detroit Red Wings on Thursday. Jamie, you were terrific. Thank you for this, my friend. Appreciate it.